The people of Bougainville prepare to adjust their clocks. No road accidents as police keep watch in NCD. And Queen Elizabeth says thank you to volunteers fighting Ebola.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Saturday's news. Thanks for your company. The autonomous region of Bougainville will be on a new time zone effective as of tomorrow. The Bougainville House of Representatives passed the new Bougainville Standard Time this year as one of the changes in 2015. This now means Bougainville will be an hour ahead from the rest of Papua New Guinea. MTV's Fabian Hakelitz has more.
The autonomous region of Bougainville is located at the far eastern side of Papua New Guinea and is where the sun first sets its rays to meet the horizons. It's called Land of the Rising Sun or Sun Come Up. The Bougainville Standard Time is effective as of 2 tomorrow morning, Sunday, December 28. 1 hour ahead means once the shorthand strikes 2 and longhand 12, all clocks and watches will be set forward to 3 in the autonomous region of Bougainville. In a press statement released by ABG Commerce and Tourism Minister Wilfred Komba, the Bougainville Standard Time will be 11 hours ahead of Coordinated Universal Time. The change will happen in the quiet trading period between Christmas and New Year, as approved in the September Bougainville House of Representatives sitting. Bougainville Standard Time will be the same as with its neighbor, the Solomon Islands. Visitors traveling to the autonomous region by air or sea are required to forward time by 1 hour to meet the Bougainville Standard Time. Meanwhile, National Flag Carrier Air New Guinea is aware of the new Bougainville Standard Time and advised all flight timings for Buka and Aropa from this date onward will be readjusted to reflect the change. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
The newly opened United Church building at Barakau village has been dedicated to a former reverend from the village, but the family have disagreed. The church is dedicated to the late Sir Ravu Henau, and while the family says they were not consulted, the local pastor is confident that this will not be a hindrance.
This church building, costing over 1.5 million kina, was officially opened yesterday.
Thank you very much.
It took 17 years for church members to fundraise and complete the building. The building was dedicated to one of the founding fathers of United Church in Barakau village, the late Reverend Seravu Henau. However, during the opening, his family representative, Loani Henau, said they are not satisfied the building was dedicated to their late father. He said the family was not consulted and that the building was not certified by a building engineer. Despite this, local pastor Reverend Anna Ray said it's a blessing for them this Christmas.
Church itself, for the whole United Church, the size of the building indicates that there is enough space for everybody to come in, and we pray that that is the indication that we are going to achieve in the near future.
5 years ago, after an internal conflict relating to church elections, the congregation split into two groups, one forming the Reformed United Church while others remain. Last month, they reconciled and pledged to work together. They will start devotion in this new church as of tomorrow. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Well, it's the 8th day of police operations in NCD, and so far there have been no reports of road accidents. Police have been setting up random roadblocks in the city to curb drink driving and other traffic offences in this festive season.
NCD police are working day and night to reduce road crimes and accidents this festive season. At least 4 roadblocks are set up every day at different parts of the city to keep unworthy vehicles off the road. And surprisingly, there are fewer vehicles on the road this festive season.
They've done a few arrests, but not much, not many, because this is one of the very quiet festive season that I've ever come across, even in the night and during the day. So everybody's cooperated well with the police and everything's going really well.
Roadblocks are conducted by police in partnership with the National Road Safety Council. In some of the roadblocks, officers have confiscated license of drivers transporting alcohol and impounded unregistered vehicles.
It's been very quiet. Everybody's cooperated, though we've come across a bit of unregistered vehicles, unlicensed drivers. Most of them are not drunk, which is really good. So we've advised them, do the right thing or you get arrested, you know.
Meanwhile, NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Andy Bawa has warned all motorists to observe traffic rules. He said most NCD residents have responded to the imposed alcohol ban positively, and there is also a drop in the number of alcohol-related problems this week.
It is also incumbent upon the members of the public to also help and support police. We don't have a lot of manpower, a lot of resources as well, and so we need public support. And the most important thing is for the police and the community to be working hand in hand.
Bawa said police will be releasing a full report of the first week of the festive operations tomorrow. Tekla Gunga, National MTV News.
Youths in the Moresby North East electorate have been kept busy with the Governor's Cup. 8 teams are participating in the Moresby North East competition. And while sports has kept these youths away from alcohol, a youth leader, Noel Owie, said that the government should do more to engage youths in meaningful activities.
Alcohol ban players to plenty of youth play NCD throughout the country and all can play all BF. So me no looking one play. Some players and all mangis are drink na raf na kamlo feel na making more plenty all cosimo nuisance law committee law. I mean all crowd law all fields not like that. All come all behave na all. Concentrate the game na, or thinking the change. Near I'm come close to that, like and plenty of youths, plenty of players, me play around with them. All total change not like and. So I think a good plan lo. NCD governor me put him play up. All ba running as annually or every Christmas I put him.
And ahead in the news, a Christmas message from Queen Elizabeth II. Stay with us for the details. Good to have you back with the news. Turning overseas now, the royal family gathered in Sandringham for Christmas with a few notable expectations. William and Kate were without Prince George, with the Duchess of Cornwall also a no-show.
Hundreds of well-wishers braved the bitterly cold Norfolk air to line the route to the Church of St Mary Magdalene, many hoping for a glimpse of young Prince George. They were disappointed, but his parents did their best to make up for it. William and Kate happily stopping to chat, while Harry even got a festive proposal.
He didn't say anything, so I have to wait for the next time.
You have to wait maybe next year?
Maybe next year.
Having caught the train to Sandringham, the Queen drove to church for the traditional Christmas Day service. Prince Philip walking in with Princess Anne, while Prince Charles was without wife Camilla. The Duchess of Cornwall a no-show, having been advised by doctors to rest after putting her back out. There had been speculation the Queen may abdicate, with bookmakers suspending betting on a Christmas Day announcement. But the 88-year-old monarch is showing no sign of slowing down or stepping aside. In her Christmas message, the Queen paid tribute to medical staff fighting the Ebola outbreak in West Africa.
I have been deeply touched this year by the selflessness of aid workers and medical volunteers who have gone abroad to help victims of conflict or of diseases like Ebola, often at great personal risk.
The theme was reconciliation, with Her Majesty noting commemorations to mark the 100th anniversary of World War I.
The ceramic poppies at the Tower of London drew millions, and the only possible reaction to seeing them and walking among them was silence. For every poppy, a life, and a reminder of the grief of loved ones left behind.
Meanwhile, the Archbishop of Canterbury was unable to deliver his traditional Christmas sermon after coming down with a severe cold.
2 men have faced court accused of a crime that's rocked an idyllic holiday island in Thailand. They were charged with the murder of 2 British backpackers, but now claim that they were tortured into making false confessions.
Zor Lin and Win Phyo arrived at Koh Samui's courthouse in chains for a pre-trial hearing into a crime that left Thailand's tourism industry reeling. The Burmese migrants stand accused of killing British backpackers Hannah Witheridge and David Miller, who were found dead on a Koh Tao beach in September. Both had suffered significant head injuries. 23-year-old Hannah had been raped. The migrant workers were arrested 3 weeks later, with police saying their DNA matched that found on the victims. They were paraded in front of cameras and made to reenact their alleged crime, but the case has been dogged by claims of police incompetence. Their legal team says an initial confession was made under duress, with the men and their families now proclaiming their innocence. Their lawyer told the court he needed more time to convince witnesses to give evidence. We have gathered more information, he said. We have more witnesses, but the problem is they are scared to testify.
I think it's very difficult for the defence team. They really are up against all the odds, and we're really having a very difficult time to get witnesses, to protect witnesses.
If found guilty, the 2 men could face the death penalty. Their trial is scheduled to start in July.
And that international report wraps up our news segment tonight. But stay tuned, True Crime Sports is coming up next. I'll give you more news on the NCD Governors Cup, soccer, and we'll give you an update on the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. Stay with us.
True Crime Sports.
Welcome to True Crime Sports. Well, it's on again, the 2014 Port Moresby Suburb Rugby League competition, the Governors Cup. And unlike previous years, the competition is now played in all NCD electorates. Defending champions, Hahola Freeway Bumpers, have won their 3 matches and are on standby for the Cup playoff. Let's now join NTV's Rafaela Kare, Scholar Sengi and Jeremy Moggi for the updates.
8 teams, mainly from the Northeast electorate, are currently taking on the Connie Tigers Oval, despite the blistering weather. Currently behind me are Erima Wanderers and Bougainville from 5 and 6 Mile playing their washout match.
Since day one, the crowd is really a big difference. Was from the previous years, it was only one here, one venue. Now we really enjoy the moment, a trouble cut down, and we have them from the bus fare transporting to and from into the various locations as suburbs are there, and it brings down everything down to the normal competition. Not like before that we rush for PMVs and then time cutting down. So I think we enjoy the momentum of the game.
6 teams have made it into the respective Pool A and B finals playoffs, where the Hahola Knights and Freeway Bumpers have won their respective Bowl and Cup playoffs. Now the rugby fraternity here in Port Moresby will witness the finals in the next couple of days. On behalf of the National MTV Sports Team, I'm Scholar Sengi.
And in soccer, Stalin Jawa, the first Papua New Guinean to coach the national team, says a lot more can be done to improve the standard of football in the country. He says a regional-based concept can be used to boost the National Soccer League, which will then create a wider and better player and talent base.
Having been attached with the national team during its glory days in the early 80s, Jawa has said he is disappointed with the current standards on display, considering the number of years the competition has been running.
A lot of people have different views of how they judge standards. For me, basically a simple way to judge standard with teams is, one team must not beat another team 4-0 or 3-1. They both should have a draw or slightly 1 goal.
In terms of coaching and player education, Jawa, like others in the football fraternity, believe that not enough exposure has been given to players and coaches by the PNG Football Association. When asked about the effect it could have on sponsorship, Jawa admits there could be issues.
We might have a problem with sponsors. I think they're the ones who are making the competition move.
He feels also that 9-time champions Hekari United FC have set the benchmark for PNG football.
They can come to the standard that Hekari has reached, but Hekari, on the other end, can be a team that can be beaten, but I don't know how national teams, NSL teams and coaches are seeing NSL as unbeatable team.
One proposal that he has is to have regional-based sides from throughout the country rather than from just the existing centres of Port Moresby and Lae.
I think a former Brazilian coach who came here said to many of us that, Papua New Guineans love playing football, but technical football is lacking in all our teams at club level and also at national level. These concepts in place, Stalin Jawa is adamant PNG can be the best in the Pacific. Jeremy Moggy, National MTV Sports.
Turning overseas now to an epic yacht race. The dream is over for one of the biggest contenders in the Sydney to Hobart. Perpetual Loyal was forced to retire after a punishing night at sea. The Super Maxi is one of the 8 to pull out of the race, leaving a depleted fleet to push on.
Motor on, taking on water, one of the race's greatest hopes on her way back to Sydney.
To visualise nothing else but finishing first in the race. So it's really, really disappointing for guys.
The entire Sydney to Hobart fleet was buffeted by strong southerly winds and rough seas last night. At 9 o'clock, Super Maxi Perpetual Loyal was off the coast of Jervis Bay, locked in a battle for third spot with rival Ragamuffin when she struck something in the water.
There was one particular decent bang that we heard, and it had us all concerned.
Divers inspected the damage this morning. The yacht's hull has delaminated, which means the layers of fiberglass have separated. The decision made to turn her around.
Going into Bass Strait where the seas, were likely to come up at the end, and really just put the boat and the crew at too much risk.
It's a bitter blow for Anthony Bell, who took out the Blue Water Classic in 2011. On board this year's surfer Sally Fitzgibbons, boxer Danny Green and Olympic sailor Tom Slingsby. 8 yachts have been forced to retire from the race, former Line Honours winner Brenda Bella among them. She began taking on water after a problem with her rudder.
We couldn't repair it. There's no way we could repair it at sea. If we could have, we would have.
Her crew back on dry land at Darling Point today, sharing a drink in commiseration.
Pretty sad about it all, because it's been a lot of preparation.
Perpetual Loyal is now on her way up the coast. Despite not finishing the race, the Loyal Foundation has raised almost $1 million for charity this year.
The crew from Perpetual Loyal won't know the full extent of the damage until they get her back here to her mooring at the Rose Bay Marina. They're due to arrive back here early tomorrow morning.
And in cricket, Australia is in a dominant position at stumps on day 2 of the second test, thanks to another captain knock from Steve Smith. And here are the highlights.
The summer of Steve Smith sounds like this. A third test, a third ton. But it's the consistency of the captain's innings that's so impressive.
Steve Smith, what sort of form is he in? This man is at the top of his trade at the moment.
I said when they gave him the opportunity to captain the team that it was perfect timing for him, because he's been batting so well throughout the last 12 months. It's perfect time for him to grab the captaincy.
The 25-year-old has openly defied India's attack in a record-making series. He's become the first Australian to score centuries in his first 2 tests as captain. Today, Smith notched his highest test score of 192, taking his average to an impressive 51.27. On the way, he's ticked off 1,000 runs for the calendar year and 2,000 test runs in total. The skipper swatting away to the milestone quicker than his predecessors Ricky Ponting, Alan Border and Michael Clark.
He's leading from the front. I've always said the players have always respected him as a player, and now the easiest way to earn respect as a captain is by making sure you're leading from the front and scoring runs, and he's well and truly doing that.
Clark is in constant contact with his rookie replacement.
Well, it's nice to be here, so I've seen him every day. But yeah, look, I've spoken to him leading up to the Brisbane Test match. Like I say, I got a really good relationship with him. He's a great young player, he's a great young kid.
A supreme stand from Smith finished just short of a double Test century.
Arm bowled, and finally he's out, but what an innings.
And Trukai Sports ends on that note. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. True Kai Sports.
This weather information is brought to you by Tablebirds.
Quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. The nation's capital to look forward to cloudy weather with cloudy periods expected in Alotau. In Momase, Ley City, Majang and Vanimore to look forward to a few showers. In the New Guinea Islands, brief showers expected in Lorengau, showers and thunderstorms anticipated in Kimbe and Buka. And lastly, in the Highlands region, all centres evening showers, then morning fog. Well, that's the way it is this Saturday, the 27th of December 2014. 4 more days as we count down to the new year. I'm Tokana Hasavi on behalf of the news team. Thanks and have a good night.